First, let me speak slowly so that you understand where I'm coming from. Government, you heard me say something, and I said it on purpose. I said, when I was president of the NLC and even earlier general secretary, there were moments I wonder if my views were not as a result of my limited understanding of how government and governance operate. And I said, having had the privilege to govern for 8 years and attend high-level meetings where government decisions are taken, I am much more convinced that the position that I took or we took as organized labor in certain matters were very, very valid. And if I were to have the opportunity again, I will fight even harder. That is what I said. Political will. Of course, political will is not expected from you. And that is why I said, and I hope you did take note, I choose my words carefully even as I was trying to rush them so that I don't take too much time. But you must have the capacity to engage, interrogate, and fight against policies that are wrong or non-enforcement of policies that are right, rather just lament it. I said that if the state has the will to make a policy, but they lack the will to implement it, you should engage. I cannot do it for you. I run a subnational government, one of the 36 states, and issues of tariff, issues of customs, issues of industrial policies, taxation, all of those things are centralized. When you hear people talking about federalism in Nigeria, the peculiar issues, so on and so forth, those are part of the challenges. My business here is to remind you that it is not enough when you hear government says we would ensure that all the uniforms, because that campaign was on even before I left the textile union, that if we insist as a matter of public policies that all our custom uniforms must be made in Nigeria, that all our police uniforms must be made in Nigeria, civil defense, those who are supposed to manage our highways but I hardly see them, road safety, you name it, even school uniforms, government school uniforms that we produce for our children, they are not of velvet, they are not high silk. They are basic fabrics for primary schools, secondary schools, etc., etc. But there was a time government accepted this policy. And as a consequence, I believe Nigeria police awarded the contract to, I'm not sure now, whether it was what company in Lagos that owned Aflon. Pardon? ICI. Okay, so you know the name of the companies. They gave them the contract to produce police uniforms. And they did. But I'm not sure, as we speak, if that policy is on. You will know better. But the customer will tell us whether they have complied, because there was a pronouncement about that. I read that in the brochure produced by the Textile Workers Union, when you acknowledge the intervention of the Central Bank of Nigeria and President Muhammadu Buhari's decision that they must look inward to produce uniforms. What you should now do is to ask. As a governor, I cannot ask a custom officer, why are you not wearing, or where was this your uniform manufactured? I don't have that power. Otherwise, they will even arrest me as a smuggler. But let me tell you, talking about policy gaps between proclamations and reality. The other day, my cook served me rice. They look so clean. And I asked him, is this from Kebbi or Ebonyi or Kano? Those states that are producing rice. He said, no, sir. I said, where you are, which one is this? Say it's imported. I said, but importation of rice is forbidden. And I said, don't ever cook this foreign rice. First, because it's not even nutritious. Some are poisonous because they've been kept in warehouses. They have expired. So they want to find avenue to just sell them at the giveaway price. As smugglers that want to maximize, take advantage and bring them in. With all the policy, those rice are in the market. So there is no state governor who can go there. You will be accused of taking laws into your hand. How to get the political will is the reason the union makes us strong. Everything can be changed. And there is no better quotation than when we sing the trade union song, the most popular one, that says, from the ashes of the old, a new world can be born when we realize that the union makes us strong. So because by combining, you can interrogate. I'm sure Nigerian government have seen from recent EdSARS protests that it is better to deal with organized labor, convey the aspirations, the frustrations, the disappointment, the gap between what they think they should get and what they are getting is better than an organized group. Convey this and negotiate with the authorities. Because there's somebody who is responsible. There's a channel for conversation. And those who are discussing with, we feed the higher level of government back. You also feed your own followers back. I'm asking you to stop agonizing and start organizing, mobilizing, and interrogate power and engage power. Look, I'm not going to say more than this before I'm accused of something that I don't want to say. It is not for nothing that under the freedom of association, certain rights are provided. Exploit those to ensure that when government says we will ensure that custom uniforms are made in Nigeria, you will go and end importation of custom uniforms. When it says army uniform must be made in Nigeria, help the government to ensure that no soldier was an imported or smuggled fabric. You have to compel them to realize that it's not the policy you want, it is the implementation. That is how to encourage, that is the power of active citizenry. So don't expect that the government is going to be sitting down somewhere and say, no, custom. So it is in your hand to mount pressure. Somebody asked, let me tell you something I did in Edo. As a governor, the one that was within my discretion, I found that the state-owned cement factory, Okwela Cement, was being used for the baggaging of rice, of cement. And I issued ultimatum to whoever owns it that I will revoke the privatization and I will sell it to another person and revoke the certificate of occupancy, which is within the discretion of the governor. I just follow the laws and I'll gazette it. A big person at the villa, maybe number 2 at that time, called me and said, comrade, this is your pronouncement. I said, when it comes to job, I am a fanatic. We cannot allow a cement factory to become a warehouse for smuggled cement. And because they know I will do exactly what I've said, and I said, tell the person, if he doesn't do what I said, in 2 weeks, I will revoke. The owner showed up. And I said, he said, no, but you can't do it in 2 weeks. I said, we can give you more time, but you need evidence. You need to convince me that you are going to start producing. Although, before I left government, you now have Boa Cement. Have you seen Boa Cement? That is the result of my political will, not only to make a policy, to threaten, and I already prepared the instrument to gazette it. If he failed within the time I allowed, as I use the word I now, because I had the executive power, not we. And he knew from my background that I will do it. And I told the day number 2, when it comes to jobs, I am a fanatic. And I question his conscience. You too should support me to whip away traders and replace them with manufacturers. Today, if you see Boa Cement, it is a result of my political will. And you can ask the owner. But I went beyond that and I said, once you have seen evidence that you are constructing, we will give you free right of way. The governor has the power to waive in part or in whole the channel to bring gas into the factory so that they can generate their own power. Today, Dangote is constructing a second cement factory in that same location because we have enough of the lines, which is the main raw materials. And when that one comes on stream, you will see how a subnational government can encourage. And all I had to do was to discourage the local people from harassing these investors. We have cement, ceramic. We've been importing these ceramic tiles. A Chinese guy came, they want to do ceramic. I called the local people, don't harass them, because we have this now misconception. Youth, we emerge from nowhere and say, before you start construction, you must pay us. I waive whatever I could waive in terms of acquisition of land and so on and so forth. And today, all the ceramics we use to build schools in Edo State, they were made in Edo. All the iron rods for construction of those civil engineering work are the result of scraps that are now being converted to iron rod. All of those I did. I'm not saying I could do much more, but just for you to know that you need to push those in government to come to the conclusion that they have no alternative but to implement the policies they have rolled out. Pushing is the word. Interrogation is the word. Engagement is the word. And you know the final result power, if all of these ones fail. And I'm not good, this is not a industrial relation conference, so I'm not going to talk about that. So please don't assume that political will emerge. Now, the second, and this is important, and I'm happy to hear some of the comments here. I think that, Comrade President of NLC, we need to move away from a doctrinaire approach to be more pragmatic in terms of our policy response to the situation that we found ourselves. ISAD clearly reminded us that we have 4 refineries before. Incidentally, some of these refineries were constructed under the present president as Minister of Petroleum. There was a clear vision that it is stupid for us to be exporting crude and then importing product. And it's to protect over the establishment of Kaduna refineries. Okay, if it is far from where the oil is, you pipe it, which is why we have these pipelines. The vision was clear, the will to do it was there, and they were working. But corruption killed our local refineries. So that a refinery that was built by Toyota, a Japanese firm, the turnaround maintenance was given to a French company that doesn't know how it was done. Not because the original people couldn't do it. I'm sure, engineer, you may not want to talk like me. You know how those contradictions came in. But why I talk about labor being more pragmatic rather than being doctrinaire? President Yar'Adua decided, and I believe correctly, to sell those refineries. And he sold one to Dangote. No. Pardon? Obasanjo's government. Yeah, Obasanjo's government. He sold the 2, Kaduna and one other one. Then the beneficiaries of abuse of government-owned companies, beneficiaries of imports, and you find them within NNPC, PPP, ROC, which we created as a result of our engagement against fuel price, etc., and other economic vultures that make money without added value. They had it at the back of Labour for Labour to argue that the privatization be revoked when Obasanjo left office. And when Yar'Adua came in, the NNPC, which include our own workers, submitted all kinds of memoranda that in 6 months they would put the refineries back to work if they got less than $500 million. 6 months, the refineries will work. President Yar'Adua decided to listen and revoke the privatization in line with his progressive credentials. Yar'Adua was truly a progressive on the left. when it comes to economic policies. So why not the state running the refineries instead of private people making private profit? So the word evangelism, he succeeded. He revoked the transaction. But again, I'm proud. I've shared this with you before. And Aliko is still there. Former governor of Central Bank, Soludo, governor of Lagos, Fashola. Yaradua conscripted also what they call emergency economic group to advise him. And he chaired that group by himself. Then I had become a governor. And we asked Ruwanu Lukman, who was the minister, what is the correct landing price of PMS? He gave a figure. He said he needed 2-3 weeks. And I said to the president then, I said this is because whether I say it or not, those who are angry with me that I said so are still angry, and I have no regret. Now, he needed 3 weeks. And I said, Mr. President, in 3 weeks' time, we are all dead. You are talking of emergency. You are seated. A minister is not ready. Bottom line. I asked the minister, whatever figure you are going to come out with will include the cost of shipping refined product to Nigeria and then distributing it from Lagos terminal, whatever farmhouse, to the rest of the country. What about the promise, Mr. President, that in 6 months the refineries will work? I said, I'm a Kaduna resident. The refineries are not working, even when they do long service award. I mean, end of year service award, even when they have produced nothing. Port Harcourt is still closed. Warri is not working. But you have released the money. And then the minister, Meso Recipe, said, Comrade, we have retired those who made those promises and didn't keep their word. And I said to him, Aliko was there, I said, Honorable Minister, who wants to die on the job? Everybody will retire. Is retirement the wages for misleading the president to sell in the morning and revoke in the evening, creating crisis of confidence in terms of can you do business with Nigeria because they can sell to you in the morning and cancel in the evening? But they always order us to execute individual agenda. And so the refinery was privatized. Those who received the money for the turnaround maintenance collected it. As we speak, I believe billions of dollars between Yaradua and to date have been spent, quote and unquote, on turnaround maintenance. The more they turn it around, the more it lies sleeping. Now, what is NSE response to that? Do we still have the illusion that the Nigerian government can make those refineries work? Or should we come to the conclusion, particularly as I listen to Isa's acknowledgement of a private initiative of Dangote, who is building a refinery, the capacity of which is more than all these other refineries put together. If one man is doing it and is already creating tens of thousands of jobs at the level of construction, and I read recently that when they finish, they will employ 200,000 jobs. From a point of view of labor that is looking for more jobs, is it really the ownership factor that is your problem, or sustainability and ensuring that Nigerian labor and including foreign labor are employed when this refinery is completed? What is the policy implication for NLC? That the refinery should continue to be managed by government? What I found, and I'm not ashamed to talk about it, I will eat my word millionfold if it is nutritious. The fact that I said something last year based on the facts and the assumption that I have, a year later I have seen that my information is wrong, my assumptions are incorrect, I will eat my word. I will revise it. Because if those refineries are working today and they are even owned by North Korea, but they are working, wouldn't it be better than the idealistic ownership of the Nigerian state? And they are closed. And they are taking your taxes to pay those managers. My friend, NSC These are things you need to engage and be less ideological about it. And this is where I will talk to my brother. You know, it is not ideology that produced this year, and I'm very proud that you have remained consistent in wearing your Nigeria-made knitted wear. Except that, you know, we in the fashion industry, the textile union, we are supposed to teach the world how to dress. We want to be able to change from different kind of fabrics. You know, because the one that is good for cultural display may not be useful when we come to business, or you are going to a factory where you need uniform that is smart. So we have to talk of the capacity to produce varieties for the purpose of coping with the nature of modern technology.
Yes, sir.
I think I'm done.
Yes, sir.
I'm done. So, Engineer Ahmed, you want